doing?
I'm doing fine, mate. I'm doing fine.
Glad to hear it.
Did you want to start with anything a little more conversational, or did you want to kick this pot off with doing?
Look, I was going to ask you, mate.
As if we don't live together. Just feels a little manufactured, that's all. Feels a little artificial.
Although the doing is I don't know, it just rolls off my tongue these days without warning, and nothing feels more natural than that.
You had warning, though. You knew we were doing a pod. You had opportunity to come up with an opening line, and you went with doing, which again, it just feels a bit fake, doesn't it?
You know what's funny? I had an opening line, but I decided to go with doing at the last minute.
Which I think speaks to a lack of confidence generally, TK, that you're perhaps wrestling with at the moment. I don't know. But the fact that you would have had something prepared and then would have reached for doing at the last second tells me that the thing that was prepared was perhaps not of any great substance.
No. Would you like me to get to that? I do feel like I find myself... It might be because of the enormous amount of Anyos I've been watching recently, but I do feel myself greeting people with doing Adelaide, doing. Well, Adelaide is something that has crept into my conversational vocabulary, so much so that it's almost not being said ironically anymore. When
Adelaide departs irony station, that's when you know you're working in a rare area. I think when you are fully comfortable and one with the Adelaide, when it rolls off the tongue with complete and utter authenticity. That's not a place I find myself personally, although I do sit beside you in the freshest pair of Air Maxes you'll probably ever see. Not a lick of dust, dirt, nor grime on these puppies.
They're not TNs, but
they're not TNs. But can I say that the TN has been so co-opted by the inner
non-Adelaide community?
Correct. And not just the non-Adelaide community, but the fruitiest of fruities, and power to them. But I almost think that when something is co-opted that hard, its link to its original community becomes so tangential. Its nexus, TK, if you will, and I know that you will, to its original source, it frays. And I think that's perhaps happened with the TN. Again, that's not a judgment one way or another. I'm just saying where the TN has been co-opted, the Air Max has remained pure.
I see what you're saying. And
so
sort of. I'll go to the question I was originally going to ask you, which was, been watching much of the Winter Olympics, mate? You can say no if it's a flat no.
Look, I'd be lying if I was to sit here and tell you I've watched even 15 seconds of the Winter Olympics.
Okay, fair enough. I've had it on and off. It's pretty cool. A lot of the sports in there are pretty dangerous or just pretty, I don't know, eclectic, and stuff you don't really see in your run of the mill, Olympic Games. My second question, my follow-up was going to be, what if there were to be, and I put this out to the listener as well, if there were to be an event in the Winter Olympics that you had to do, right? If I gave you like 4 years and you had to try and take the next 4 years to try to be as good as you can at it, what would you pick?
I'd need you to get off Spanion. I don't know why he's still up on the TV 6 minutes into the pod. I'd need you to get up a list of Winter Olympic events, because this may shock you and indeed the listener in turn. I am not overly versed with the events at the Winter Olympics. I know there are skiing events. I know there are skating events. I know there is some sort of luge and bobsled type setup in various forms. One doesn't spring to mind as you say that. I like to think that when I was but a wee lad cutting about on the Canterbury sort of casual circuit, I found myself several times at Canterbury Ice Rink for various birthday parties, namely my own 10th birthday party.
And what a day that was.
It was a hell of a day. And I recall thinking at the time that as compared to the average 10-year-old, I had a bit of go about me on the ice, Teeks, on the slippery surface. I remember thinking, hang on a minute, have I missed or indeed found my calling? And as is my calling to sort of potter about the ice rink when so many of my peers, so many of my collegiate are indeed holding on to the edge of the ice rink in support?
The answer to that, obviously, no. As you sit here, not a career skier.
Well,
not a career skater.
Well, I didn't go on with it. Is I think what you're implying there. But perhaps I was cut down in my prime, TK. You know, but it's you think about life as having many forks in many roads, and that was certainly one.
Fair enough. So we've got on the screen here. These are all the events. We've got alpine skiing.
What would be the difference between an alpine ski and a traditional ski? I beg your pardon.
As you remove your
well, there's just a little thing in my retainer that's just making one of them pop up a little bit. I don't want to go into it. It's a little graphic for the listener. Alpine skiing, is that a necessary qualifier, or is all skiing not alpine, given that it is Alp based? I would have thought.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? I think
does skiing not require both snow and a mountain?
Well, I think alpine skiing is on more of a, and I'm not going to click on it and check. I'm gonna just guess.
Well, why? Yeah, why use the tools at your disposal?
Yeah, I think it's on an actual mountain, like as in like a it's not like a ski slope. It's just you just kind of. No, that's no way that's correct.
It's not a hell of an explanation, is it?
Hang on, should we click on it?
Well, why the fuck not? We've come this far.
Okay.
If the options are that and hearing you sort of babble about something you...
Beloved winter sport followed by many. That tells us all we need to know.
So I would just Wikipedia alpine skiing if it were me. Not to tell you how to do your job.
Just looking at these events here, what would you...
Okay, so you've got the biathlon, which is what, 2 events?
Mm-hmm. 2 events.
Which is what, 2 events?
Which 2 events?
Correct.
Well, some sort of shooting.
Fuck me.
Oh, so you're skiing and shooting at the same time by the looks of things?
It feels a little dangerous. Go back. Go back. Bobsleigh. I mean, obviously there is an inbuilt inclination towards that because of the cult classic Cool Runnings. It's a winter sport that we have perhaps a little more familiarity than some others.
Yes.
The cross-country skiing, which is, I suppose, the sort of long-distance ski. Curling.
It's long distance, but it's not. It's the weirdest thing to watch, Jack, because they don't just go downhill. A lot of it's just like them kind of walking across like long flat surfaces. It's fucking weird. Anyway,
really?
Yeah.
So they're not going at any kind of great clip.
Well, they can't do that for cross country because mountains are only so long. So like they'll go down slope and then they'll go across like for like 300 meters.
So there's a bit of plodding involved with the old cross country skiing. A lot of plodding. The cross country skiing one for the journeyman, perhaps.
Well, it derives, I believe, from where skiing originated, which was actually just a mode of transport.
Right.
If you're in that kind of,
Would there be many countries in which that's still a common mode of transport?
Oh, I wouldn't think so, no. It would have been about 100 years ago, probably, maybe, pre-war.
It might be worth a quick Google, that one. Are there any countries where skiing's still a predominant form of transport, a la cycling to work, walking to work, catching the train, or indeed cross-country skiing to work? I don't know. I don't know if that's how people get about in Jindabyne. TK just Googling there now. Skiing is still used as a form of transportation in various parts of the world, particularly in Nordic and Scandinavian regions, for commuting and traversing snow-covered landscapes rather than just for recreation. So, what I'm hearing there, TK, is that there are parts of the world where people still, their primary form of commute is the ski.
Well, yes, certainly not in this part of the world, because I don't know if I could if I was wanting to get from here to, let's say Martin Place, and I just had a pair of skis and a few and two of those.
How long
sticks.
do you reckon it'd take you to get from Marrickville to Martin Place via ski?
Well, here's the thing, right? I'd basically just be walking, but the walking would be a lot slower than walking because I've got skis on, which are incredibly uncomfortable to begin with.
So
and
you
very hard to walk in.
But then you could do it.
It would from here to Martin Place.
Yeah.
12 hours.
12 hours?
Yeah.
How heavy are skis?
They're just very heavy and awkward to walk.
Right,
in.
okay. But
Especially on not ice-covered surfaces. And even if it is an ice-covered surface, for myself, not particularly easy.
well, what would be weirder, right? If you were someone who commuted to work via ski, or if you were to commit to commuting to work via those sort of not posh but privileged kids in the mid 2000s who had the little the trainers, the sand shoes that had the little wheel that dropped out of the bottom of them.
Yeah, those were funky, weren't they?
They were funky, and they were the sort
wheelies.
Well, they were a sign, TK, again, that mum and dad may be split. And there was a certain vying for affection of the 8, 9, 10-year-old child that, you know, you weren't necessarily certain that there was a divorce in play, but there would be signs.
Absolutely. Well, the parents were maybe trying to give the kid little distractions, little kind of trivial fun things to kind of jazz up their day.
But there was a bit of one-upmanship as well. There was, dad's taking you to Bali. How about a pair of wheelie shoes and one of those little hats with the propeller on top?
Yeah.
How about I counter?
Yeah.
How about I counter with that?
Although I'm not actually sure those were ever actually used outside of Doodle Jump. Maybe.
Oh, mate, it's times like this that you show your age and you reveal to the listener that you are indeed 4 years younger than me, mate. The hat with the propeller, fucked.
Can I just say, did it ever serve any actual function? Because I'm assuming no one actually got any airtime with those things.
Listen, I wasn't the most athletic kid vertically or otherwise, but I certainly, if I ever wore one, I did not fly. I won't speak to the experience of anyone else. The propeller hat, I wonder if it's still doing the damn thing.
Well, I mean,
I tell you what,
that man is too old to be wearing a propeller
I think,
hat.
unfortunately,
he is far too old.
There is a I don't know how, it's not a Venn diagram, is it? But there's like a graph, isn't there, where it's like, I don't know. There's a spectrum is what I'm looking for. There's a spectrum at which you go, and I don't know what age it happens, but you go from being the cool kid whose parents are getting a divorce to nonce, and it's somewhere along the age line that you slip into it, and I don't know where.
Yeah, well, look, it was according to this, it came in the late 1940s as a symbol for nerds or geeks, but now a fun accessory for parties, festivals, and costumes.
Okay, well, maybe I am blending the two in a way that they shouldn't be blended, and maybe this was a sign of geekism. But what wasn't a sign of geekism was the wheelie shoe.
No.
The wheelie shoe was a sign that you naturally had abs. And you were a naturally athletic, cool kid, even though you were allowed to eat chips for recess, which is insane. And mum and dad, both kind of hot, but also definitely getting a divorce. Geeky, inner west, literate kids did not. This is the point I'm leading to. Did not have wheels in their shoes. If your parents read the Herald, and enjoyed the Penguin Orange editions, and drank and started their morning with a cup of tea, highly unlikely that you were cutting about in a pair of wheelie shoes.
Well, what's interesting is I seem to remember the shoes lighting up when the wheels were activated.
That may have been a special feature. I don't know if it was factory setting, or if it was indeed some sort of modification.
No, right.
Some sort of custom shop option.
They were jailbroken shoes.
Correct. Shout out to jailbreaking your iPhone, which is not something that I believe happens anymore.
No, there was a fella in my year that used to do it for people in year 6. He would jailbreak the phone for you. He was quite a gifted hacker.
Well, the jailbreaking would allow you to download a certain amount of apps for free. Is that what it was?
Well, it basically it would be a it would remove all these restrictions from the factory setting of the iPhone. So it would allow you to do things with capabilities with the phone that Apple had built in soft code wise that, I don't know, whatever. It basically just removed a bunch of restrictions.
Could you be less specific? Is that possible?
Could I be less specific?
Yes.
So here's the thing, Jack. I'm not familiar with code or electronic devices really in general. So I'm being as general as I can be.
But from a UX
as
perspective,
specific as I could be.
that's user experience. I believe what it did was it meant you could download apps for free. Is that not basically
You
it?
could do that. You could do stuff like you could turn the phone upside down and it would turn the display upside down, shit like that.
Jeez. Imagine going back to those times and thinking like that was about as advanced as it was probably going to get.
Well, yeah.
Now people are having sex with their computers.
You could download you could download apps that you could only get on Android and shit like that as well.
Yeah, okay. So there was a little bit of that stuff going on. That's cross-country skiing.
Curling.
Curling, I am loath to admit, I'm going to need a refresher on what it is.
It's when they like push that puck and they're like polishing the ice in front of it to get it to move.
That's it.
Let's have a look though, because
you'd imagine some sort of background in cleaning would help.
Well,
there's a lot of
what country is the best at it? Look at this.
There's a lot of mop work going on.
Well, I mean, talk about a history of cleaning.
I wouldn't go there, mate.
You wouldn't go there?
No. I would say there's a word for that, and it's probably a little bit racist. There you go.
So they kind of look like mops, don't they?
They do, hence the cleaning analogy. I guess what they're doing is, are they sort of very finely shaving down the ice in a very specific way so that the puck will move where they want it to move? Is that what's happening?
That's exactly what's happening, I believe.
Right.
It looks that guy's, and they've always got two people kind of like polishing in front of it, and then one dude kind of just like intensely staring at it behind. Not sure how much he's doing.
Now, this is not a particularly original question, TK, but one must ask it when looking at that man so intensely staring at the puck as it is worked down a progressively polished piece of ice. How the fuck does one get into that?
That is a great question. I think you have to be from
curling stock.
You have to be from Canada or northwestern Europe.
But presumably
or
as
Asia.
well, it's got to be lineage based. There must be some sort of my great auntie. She was a curler. She curled for Norway, and it was her dying wish that I would curl
too.
That I would curl.
Yeah.
And not just a hog's breath fry, but I would curl the ice, which leads me to ask, why is it called curling? Presumably the word's not Australian derived, English derived.
Well, would you like me to find out?
I wouldn't mind knowing the etymology of curling from in the context of the Winter Olympic sport curling.
It's a Scottish word, curl. Describes a stone curved path on the ice.
There you go. So there's a bit of curvature work going on there vis-a-vis etymology. I would presume or assume, and I hate to assume, TK, because when I do it,
you make an ass out of both you and of me.
Correct. But I would if I were to assume that couldn't be a full-time gig, curling. You would need, even with the sponny dollars, the spon con that you could perhaps put together in a Winter Olympic year, I would still assume you'd need some kind of secondary gig, whether that's curling coaching, the selling of curling merchandise, or indeed something that is completely outside the auspice of curling. I would have thought that you would need to have a side hustle.
Yeah, perhaps you'd have to ask a curler, mate. I'm not a curler myself, although.
Could you Google, is curling a full-time gig? Can you curl as a full-time job? Can you curl and nothing but the curl?
No.
For most, curling is not a full-time job.
No, like most of Olympic sports, you don't get paid for them. So
no, of course. And it's big in Scotland and Sweden.
Interesting. Wouldn't have thought Scotland. It just screams northwestern European.
But you know why? What gives Scotland about it.
What?
The fact that on the surface, the very icy surface, it doesn't appear to be that athletic.
No, absolutely
And
not.
the Scots, they like a game that doesn't require too much cardiovascularity.
In fact, it doesn't seem to be athletic at all, if I'm being completely honest with you. Which I
Well,
am.
there's a bit of forearm work going on vis-a-vis the polishing,
Look at that fella. He looks
and that's
Scottish.
of ice, listeners, not knobs.
No. I think that's curling. The
Figure skating, we know what that is. What's it called? Blades of Glory.
Yep, Ricky
Freestyle
Bobby.
skating.
No, Chaz Michaels.
Freestyle skiing. Well, I wouldn't mind knowing what that is. Freestyle skiing. Is that like some sort of hybrid of skateboarding and skiing where you can kind of do tricks and shit? Presumably that's what that is, as opposed to the Alpine, which is a downhill race, I presume, and the cross country, which is a long distance plotter race, a journeyman's race. Is that what we're looking at?
Freestyle, it's like when they jump over the thing, you know?
All right.
They go up in the air.
So a bit of obstacle work.
You fly up in the air and you got to like flip around and shit. Ice hockey, you know what that is. Luge, you know what that is.
So can I be honest?
Yeah.
Luge, I'm going to need a little bit of help as well, much like I did with curling.
It's this kind of it's this track, this kind of circular track, and they're lying down basically, just going around on it.
Right, okay.
Lying down, like they push themselves into it, and then they go at extremely fast speeds around the track. That's luge. Nordic combined, no fucking idea what that is.
So let's assume that Nordic combined is some kind of pentathlon, decathlon setup. I don't think that's too crazy.
Yeah, cross country skiing and ski jumping. There you
Okay,
go.
as if one wasn't niche enough. Let's shorten the playing field even more so.
And you got short track speed skating, skeleton.
That's a bit ominous, isn't it?
Well, skeleton is just luge, but you're doing it on your stomach.
Now again, I hate to go there, and I know it would be so frustrating for fans of the Winter Olympics and indeed Winter Olympians to hear this. But if I had questions about how the fuck one gets into curling or luge, my questions have only doubled, TK. My curiosity has only reached a higher point when you tell me that there is a form of luge where you are just doing it on your gut.
Yeah, well, I mean, as opposed to doing it on your back, I think the stomach makes more sense, personally.
Does it? Is that just a little bit like the way... Is that accommodating different taste in the way that some people like to sleep on their back and some people like to sleep on their gut? Is traditional luge for the snorer?
Yeah.
And tummy luge, or is traditional luge for the non-snorer, and tummy luge is like, you're making so much noise at night that I need you to roll over and sleep on your gut.
Yeah.
And I think that 8 hours a day, a third of your life essentially spent in that position, means you're going to be a hell of a skeletoner.
Skeletonor. And it's pretty dangerous because they're flying very fast on that ice.
Head first.
In skeleton, yes. Luge feet first, I believe.
Interesting. So they really are the top and tail. I wonder if anyone is both a luger and a skeleton, i.e. the sort of luge equivalent of ambidextrous.
Well, what's funny, they don't actually seem to be doing much when they're doing it. They're just in that position, you know.
What would be the strength and conditioning training required, and perhaps you could look this up, for skeleton and or luge? What would, as you bring up a little video of it now, apologies to the listener who won't be able to see this, but my curiosity has just reached such a peak. Is there anything under? There is something under them. Sorry, when you said before on their stomach, I assumed they were just going to be lying on their gut.
Well,
on the ice.
that'd be pretty bad. That'd be dangerous.
That'd create a fair bit of friction on the old piece, wouldn't it? Do you think that we look at this and we think it's a little bit silly?
Yes.
But you and I come from a particularly niche sport. We come from an Irish dancing background. And so we know that to the layman, that sport looks a bit silly. But when you're in that, when you're at a world championships and there's some kid called, fucking
Fergus O'Leary.
Fergus O'Leary's cutting around, and Fergus O'Leary has just won his third back-to-back World Irish Dancing title. He's cutting around in the bar at the Brechin Hotel in Killarney, and he's got all the swag. He's got all the gals dripping off him.
Or guys.
He's got all guys.
More likely.
Whatever his proclivities may be, he's got sex appeal deluxe. And even though he's only 16, he's getting pints shipped over to him left, right, and center. Maybe even some other stuff being offered to him in or outside of the cubicle. And even though to the layman, what he has just done looks dorky, daggy as hell, and dare I say it, a bit fucking weird, inside the confines of that world that he finds himself in, he's at the top of the sex mountain. He's the king of the castle, TK.
Absolutely.
And the rest of them, they're just the dirty rascals. Is there a chance that as daggy as Luge looks, or indeed its stomach-based counterpart Skeleton, is there a chance that in the worlds in which that is just a normal pastime, that those people, the top of the Skeleton, nay Luge mountain, are indeed dripping with a sex appeal that you or I just cannot comprehend watching it as laymen?
I would say almost certainly.
Right.
Anyone at the peak of their powers in whatever field they choose will have that kind of aura about them, I think.
Yeah.
I think the Lugists or the skeletonists. I think there's certainly, to use a term that you used last pod, a certain pelvic dexterity that they would require that would probably make them, quite attractive.
The Winter Olympic sports seem to rely on pelvic dexterity in a way that the Summer Olympic sports, and I know this is a huge generalization, but they seem to rely on them more in the Winter Games than they do in the Summer Games, and I don't know if that's just purely coincidental.
Of course, the phrase pelvic dexterity would imply that you can pick things up with your with your pelvis.
Well, and perhaps
pelvic
elasticity,
flexibility. Yeah, probably a better term. But we'll stick with dexterity.
Let's stick with dexterity because I don't want to rule out the idea that there is out there in somewhere in the depths of the Nordic countries a man who can indeed.
He doesn't use his hands.
He doesn't use his hands. He can drink his coffee in the morning and write a letter with each hand. He can work his comrade with his right, write a letter to his pen pal with his left, and drink his coffee all with his pelvis. He can do it all at once.
Goodness. And wouldn't he be cutting up in the Winter Olympics?
Well, you would think that bloke in the Winter Olympics would really be the king of the castle. He would be the apex predator, if I can use the word predator.
To answer a question I asked you half an hour ago, what would be your Winter Olympic sport? If you from all the ones we've gone through here.
Can I be honest?
Yeah.
I think I'm a skeleton guy.
Really?
I can see a world where the sort of subtle maneuverability of one's body whilst let me finish, whilst lying in a thumb down position, that could be something that I could imagine myself mastering in time and with the sufficient government funding and backing.
I see it for you.
Thank you.
I see you on your stomach gliding around at like 100 kilometres an hour or whatever they go at.
Well, I can see myself pushing a little further than that takes.
Oh.
I don't know what the fastest skeleton time is.
But it's very dangerous. Like, people have died doing it.
And
if you go slightly... Because I could see you going too fast, going slightly off and just smashing into the fucking wall with your head.
Oh, I can imagine myself being a guy who takes bends that others see as being just a bit too dangerous, taking them on and taking them with grace and delicacy and making them look a lot easier than they are, a la MotoGP GOAT Valentino Rossi, when he would take a near 90-degree bend in the rain without slowing down, it would seem. So if I would compare myself to the great Italian motorcyclist, I would say that he would be someone I would look to as a North Star in the skeleton game.
So you're a skeleton guy.
I'm a skeleton guy. I'm a guy who likes to get on my gut and go, go, go.
Absolutely.
You? Have you got a preference, a pick?
Mine's a lot more boring. I would just say ice hockey, to be honest. I just love the way they glide around on the rink, and they're going. Just the fact that they're playing what is essentially, your standard ball in net game. It's basically soccer or basketball just on ice, right? But they're doing it on ice skates, and they're just watching them move around, skating backwards and skating forwards. It's just, I don't know.
See, I worry.
Awesome.
I worry, Teeks, not to rain on your parade or shit on your dreams, but I do worry that you've gone for the least niche of all the sports on the board.
I know.
Actually, at a professional and followed team sport. I think you'll find that the kids who are cutting around in the ice hockey world have been doing it since they could walk. They've been skating since they could get up on two pegs.
Oh, you don't think the skeletoners have been skeletoning since they could skeleton?
Perhaps they have been, TK, but I think that the field would be shorter, and therefore I would be inserting myself into a lighter playing field, and I could imagine myself having a lower barrier to entry and easier access to the best coaches, the best mentors, the most generous funding bodies that Skeleton has to offer.
Okay.
So I fancy myself in the Skeleton. I'm a little concerned about your ice hockey dreams. I am, mate. I'm sorry to say.
Well, that's okay. I was just saying if you were to pick one, not realistically pick one.
Just because I've got a bit on at the moment, I don't know.
No, of course.
There are people who, and fair fucks to anyone who gets around the Winter Olympics without a shred of irony. I think that that's commendable, and you never want to make fun of or shit on anyone for liking things. But let's be honest.
Well, unless it's, underage girls.
But let's be honest, 98% of us didn't even have a fucking clue it was on. I do find it funny that there are people in that very niche 2% of following. There are people, I'm not sure if you've ever come across them, who are trying to make the Olympics are on a thing.
Right.
Not just the Winter Olympics or
It's
the cold
the Olympics,
games.
right.
The Olympics are on. Are you watching the Olympics? And you kind of double take and go, are you what? Huh?
Well, as you can see here, there's only like 20 events.
Of course.
So,
I didn't see any snowboarding in there.
yeah.
Was that at the bottom? There. Shout out to our bloke. What's his name? Scotty James.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Shout out to him, and good luck to him if he hasn't already done the thing that is, the most important thing, obviously, in his life. At least in this 4-year cycle.
Subway Jack.
Well, eat fresh, TK, as you segue with Subway.
And I know you're not a big fast food guy generally. You're not a big Subwayer. When was the last time you reckon you went?
I reckon I might have had a Subway sub 2 years ago, maybe.
What was your go-to order? I'm interested in this.
If I were to go to Subway...
So you walk in, you get the first thing they ask is, what's your bread?
Of course.
Oh, and your size.
Can I just say...
Not to be too personal.
No, and you can get personal, but that's okay. Can I just say before I tell you that I've particularly gone off Subway post all the Jared Fogle stuff.
Okay.
That was a real turn off for me. Although, as you say, I wasn't a huge frequenter of the Eat Fresh franchise prior to that. So I walk in.
You walk in, I say, hello.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm well, thank you. Do you speak English?
Very...
Sorry, I'm at a Subway in Berlin.
Right, okay. Yes, I speak English very brokenly.
Okay. I'd like to get a sub, please.
What size would you like?
What are my options?
We have the 6-inch or the foot long.
And is there a price discrepancy, or is the foot long just literally double the price of the 6-inch, or am I making a saving in getting the bigger one?
Huh?
Okay, I'll get the foot long because I didn't have breakfast. I'm intermittent fasting at the moment.
Mm-hmm. What bread would you like?
What are the options?
We have Italian herbs and cheese.
Yeah.
Wholemeal.
Yeah.
White.
Yeah.
Honey and oat. I think.
I'll go with the Italian herbs and cheese one. Thanks. What was your name again?
Wunda.
Right. I'll go with the Italian herbs and cheese if that's all right. Now, what do I pick next? Do I pick my main filling?
Yes. What meat would you like and what cheese?
Thanks, Fulga. Well, I'm tossing up between two, meat-wise. I'm tossing up between the steak and the meatball. Mm-hmm. I think just to keep it classic, I'm going to go with the meatball. And I'll get that sort of orangey cheese, whatever that... There's two. There's one that looks a bit more anemic. And
the Old English.
The Old English. Sure.
Would you like that toasted?
Yes, of course. I'm not some sort of nonce that wants to eat an untoasted cheese sandwich.
Beep. Now we wait.
So you've been working here long?
2 years. Beep. Salad?
Sure. I'll have lettuce, tomato, onion, quite a bit of onion if that's all right. Olives, and that's it. That's enough. I like all of what's there, by the way, but that's enough.
Sauce?
Yep. I'll get something kind of creamy looking, so maybe like a chipotle mayo, and maybe a little of that basil-y, pesto-y looking one.
Wonderful.
And salt and pepper, thanks. Which they usually ask at the end, don't they? Great, thanks. So that's probably what I'd order if I went to Subway, yeah.
Right, okay.
I don't know if we need to do yours.
Glad we did that.
Yeah. Let's do yours and let's imagine that you're in Hong Kong.
Yeah. No, look, the reason I ask is because I think... I actually don't know why I asked, to be completely honest with you.
What my Subway order was?
Well, I'm kind of just craving it, to be honest.
That's odd.
Which is odd, a little bit.
It's bottom tier in terms of fast food, isn't it? Like, in terms of what's out there.
Yeah, but it's never bad, I don't think.
No, it's never bad.
Like, it's never bad. Like a lot of fast food is bad.
What fast food's bad? Like, what chain mass-produced fast food is bad? It's always a bit 6 out of 10.
As a man who defended Macca's last episode, I will say Macca's can be bad. Like, as in, like, it can be like the meat can be like chewy, like old and kind of everything.
Really?
Can feel
I
a
always
bit
feel
shit.
like all that stuff tastes so homogenous wherever you go. I think the whole like this one's really good. I always think that's bullshit. I'm like they all taste pretty much the same at about 6.5 out of 10. They all fast food to me is about that. It's like if I went to a mum and pop store, this would be way better, but it's not terrible because they're literally just copy and pasting the same mass-produced shit over and over again. That's my take on fast food, is that it's super reliable, but super just a bit above average.
Fair enough. Do you ever go to message someone? Do you ever go to message someone and you type in the abbreviation and it automatically, relentlessly keeps changing it back to the long form one with like... Here's the one, I think. On my way, I always type in OMW and my phone automatically changes it to on my way ! And I don't want to have the exclamation mark in there because it just feels... It feels too... on my way, you know? And I just don't talk like that. OMW, but it keeps changing it to that. Like...
Let's break this up. There's two things I'm hearing here. The first one is I don't really speak in abbreviation like that. So like I would never have used the phrase, I would never have used the acronym OMW in my life. I don't think in fact, until you said it there, I would have had to think, what does it even mean?
Really?
Yeah, it's not something I use or ever use with anyone else. I will use
I'll
use ETA because estimated time of arrival is an absurd thing to type every time.
Yeah, but if you type ETA, it wouldn't automatically change it to estimated time of arrival ?
No, true. And I think question marks are play on. I will say, and I know we've treaded this board before, but I think it's worth talking about because it's something I cannot get out of my head. And again, I don't think it's something I'm able to easily articulate. But you know you and I are not big exclamation mark users. We've spoken about it before. I think, and I don't have the literature in front of me to back this up, but I think there is a discernible nexus between the exclamation mark and a general kind of online right-wingism. And I don't know how to explain that other than to say that if you ever go to a comment section on Facebook where someone is complaining about something that, say, Pauline Hanson's done or said, or a platform that she's been given, or someone who's just generally known to be a very, would say is a conservative, or let's even say alt-right personality, you will often find comments, people in the comment section saying things to the effect of, simple answer, don't listen, exclamation mark. Simple answer, Pauline just wants what's best for the nation, exclamation mark, or insert name of person. This isn't about Pauline Hanson. This is about exclamation marks and the way that I do feel they have been co-opted by the alt-right in a way that, again, I don't have great evidence in front of me to back it up. It's just something I've always kind of found online. The exclamation mark is the right-wing version of I mean, comma, at the start of a comment from an alt-lefty. So alt-lefties love, I mean, comma, what you just said is not on, or I mean, comma, this ain't it, or oh, comma, we don't do that. That is the left-wing version of
the multiple, and you talk about the multiple exclamation
she's
marks.
entitled to her opinion, exclamation mark, exclamation mark. That's the right-wing version of that online.
Right.
What does all this mean? I don't know.
No, I don't know either.
But punctuation, it can divide us, TK. And again, I urge the listener to keep a lookout for this.
Look, I'll definitely keep a lookout for it.
Whether it's ringing a bell or not, I don't know. Whether it's
speaking of conservative people and values. Do you like that segue?
Sure.
Looks like Lee's going to get ousted as soon as
Haji Pentalis.
The next couple of days. Susan Lee, that is.
Yeah, I don't know if you wanted to talk politics necessarily.
No, not politics necessarily, but maybe more so just like it looks like Angus Taylor's the one mobilising, by the way. Oh, definitely. I want to get your thoughts on him just as a physically.
I've always found Angus Taylor to be a good-looking guy in a sort of a farmer wants a wife contestant way. And what I mean by that is if you ever watch Farmer Wants a Wife...
I don't.
The farmers on there are not farmers of the variety that you and I are familiar with through our family's sort of agricultural background. They're not tough, hardened, sun-beaten,
cobbers.
Desert plodding cobbers. They're not people who are out in the barren lands of central Queensland, working that thang, whatever that thang may be, from dusk till dawn. They are a sort of, they're a sort of a mudgy farmer. They're a sort of a weekend away with your missus from your HR job farmer. They're a sort of a cream chinos and chestnut brown RMs that don't have a lick of scratching to show for themselves farmer. They're a sort of a Murray Bateman, Yass, Goulburn, green verdant pastures, roaring fireplace in the winter, and perhaps a drop of a full-bodied red farmer. It's blue eyes, it's white teeth, it's
full head of hair
at his age. It's what looks to me like GPS pedigree. Sorry if it isn't, but it's to me it's what I consider Scots boy farmer. TK.
Well, he's from the country, Angus. He did grow up on a farm, I believe.
Sure, but
he
looking at him,
also worth like $200 million.
I would be shocked if looking at him I'd be shocked if that farm was in Cunnamulla.
Oh, yeah.
And again, I don't mean or Coonabarabran. Or if he was from Arnhem Land or the outskirts of Broken Hill, I would be particularly surprised. And it wouldn't shock me if Angus's farm was something a little more in the Southern Highlands variety.
Yes,
perhaps his family were in the grape business. Don't know if that's true, but again, it'd be great if we had someone here on the old ones and twos. Not a dig at Al, but I'm just saying so that could be looked up as you and I chat. It's obviously hard for you to chat and type at the same time.
No.
The same way it's difficult for many to chew gum and walk at the same time. But yeah, those are my thoughts on Angus Taylor.
Do people find that difficult? Because I certainly don't.
Well, it's a famous phrase, that's all.
It's more patting your head and rubbing your tummy, isn't it?
Is that still used as a yardstick for holding to? Is that still used? Do people still do that? Do they still pat their heads and rub their tummies?
I pat my head and rub my tummy on a daily basis.
But is it a myth that it's a difficult thing to do?
Maybe if you're a child. Hang on. I remember it being difficult.
I seem to be doing that with relative ease.
But I remember it being really hard.
Is there a chance that it is in fact difficult and you and I have
just geniuses.
Have just discovered that we are the Bobby Fischer and Gary Kasparov? Hope I'm getting that name right.
Is there a way we could do like competitive patting your head and rubbing your tummy?
Well, having a peek at some of those Winter Olympic sports, I don't know that it's too novelty. I think what you're measuring is speed on the pat and speed on the rub. So you're looking... Oh my goodness. Oh. So this is a case...
Was that too much?
Well, it was a lot, particularly sitting so proximate to you. I think what you're looking at is revolutions with the hand and cadence with the hand. Revolutions with the tummy and cadence with the head. So how many pats per minute?
Patting your head and rubbing your tummy.
How many pats per minute? How many rubs per minute? Whether they're worth the same amount of points, I don't know.
Well, look at this fella here. He's got... This diagram clearly shows the direction that they need to go in case you were wondering.
Well, it's helpful to have a little prod in the right direction.
He looks a bit...
Well, his eyes are a little bit far apart, aren't
What's
they?
going on with him? He's either very, very shocked or he looks dead, maybe.
He's kind of the anti-cross eye.
Yeah.
They're pointing in opposite directions, but they're pointing outward.
Can you... I mean, there's another one.
Well, let's just walk this out.
Can you pat your head and rub your tummy at the same time? Let's find out.
Let's walk this out for a second, though, Teeks. What would a patting your head and rubbing your tummy event be measuring? What would separate the great patters and rubbers from the wheat from the chaff, if you will? And I know that you will. When it comes to patting one's head and rubbing one's tummy, presumably you would have two categories. You would have the speed event, in which it's how many pats and rubs can you get off inside 60 seconds, and then you would have to have the cross country or the long distance event, and that would be how long can you go for? What's your stamina like when it comes to patting and rubbing?
Cross country patting your head and rubbing your tummy. That's a mouthful. And so they'd be running downhill while doing it, and then walking across like a long distance, then maybe going uphill. And then
no, I think you're stationary, but I think they're running some. I think they're running some sort of timer here, and it's first to drop. But you need to, much like the beep test, you need to maintain a certain cadence, a certain tempo in order to go on to the next, in order to make the next cutoff point. So you can't stand here knocking out one rub and one pat inside a minute. You need to keep to a certain clip in order to stay in the fight, as it were.
Patting your head and rubbing your tummy should be part of the Winter Olympics. I'm just saying, and I know it's not a winter sport necessarily. But if you do it in winter, if you do it in the snow, right, it's niche enough to be a Winter Olympic sport, isn't it? Like, you could see, up next we've got the luge, and then after that skeleton, and then later on tonight we've got the patting your head and rubbing your tummy cross country. Tune in for that, because it'd be the Scots and the fucking Nordic people doing it, wouldn't it?
Oh, the Scots would love it. The Scots would pat their heads and rub their tummies until the cows come home. They would have, mate, they were reared on a healthy dose of patting one's head and rubbing one's tummy in that order. I would think...
Well, no, simultaneously.
Correct.
Yeah.
And indeed, I think that the patting and the rubbing, that's the number of pats and the number of rubs. I think they need to be commensurate. I think you are disqualified if at the end of your sprint, or maybe there's like a grace period, right? You can have a certain amount of standard deviation, but if you get to the end of your minute and you've got 10% more pats than rubs, or vice versa, disqualified, red pen.
Right. Okay, no, that's very fair.
So they need to be in communication
But
with
is it
one another.
two pats per rub?
No, I think a real Puritan of the pattern and rubbing game would be able to go.
No, you can't go 1 for 1 because it's a whole rotation of the tummy. Pats, I reckon it's 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. So it's 2 pats per 1 rub.
Interesting. Two pats to a rub.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the equivalent of the stroke, breathe, stroke, breathe, pat, rub.
Or in Irish dancing, very niche, brush down.
Probably too niche in case you wanted to clip this up. So let's stick with stroke, breathe, stroke, breathe, which is pat, rub, pat, rub. And how do you make that a winter sport, TK?
Do it.
You take the cunt and you put him in the middle of the fucking Alps.
Yeah.
And you go... See how many pats and rubs you can get off inside a minute, Jeffrey, while you're freezing
While
your
your
cock off.
hands are your hands are ice cold, you can't feel them. Well, you got to pat them and rub them, mate.
You've got third degree frostbite. Pat and rub, baby. This is when we separate the rubbers, the weekend rubbers, from the professionals.
And here's the thing: at the end of the day, they could be doing it whilst skiing.
Well, I think
that could be a separate event.
Oh, you're talking about a Nordic rub.
That's a Nordic rub. The Nordic rub event. The Nordic pattern rub.
Well, can I throw
Nordic
one
pattern rub.
Can I see your Nordic rub?
I think that's the episode title.
And can I play you one better,
please? Please.
What about a pat in your head and rubbing your tummy combined with luge? So
don't mind that. So they're speeding around a rink, basically lying down, doing the pat and head and rubbing tummy.
Because, and I hate to say this, I hate to be one of those people who knows nothing about a Winter Olympic sport and speaks with any kind of assumed authority on it. But there's something about luge that to me seems a little bit too easy. It's a little bit too simple.
Yeah.
You're essentially having a fucking nap. You're having a kip.
Absolutely.
You're lying on your back, on your tush, on your doot, and just basically going, do with me what you will, ice, and the sort of apparatus that I'm lying on. You're basically having a nap. Now, if you had to, while having that nap, pat your head and rub your tummy.
And are they still beholden to the same rules you said before about cadence?
I think you would have to be.
You have to be.
Obviously, there's a new degree of complexity. Could I throw one last one at you before we get off what is a fairly drawn out patting your head and rubbing your tummy segment, TK?
Yeah.
And that is, what if you were to have one where speed was in no way the marker, but it was a more artistic, judge-based, adjudication-based version of
like
the event.
diving at
like
the
diving
Summer
or
Olympics.
gymnastics, where you're sort of marked on a criteria on the aesthetic quality
So they're
of
like-
your pattern and your rubbing.
Like, doing weird kind of shit.
And as I see you demonstrate there, I immediately regret the suggestion because my sphincter clenches into a tight ball.
Well, there's not a lot you could do with that because you're either patting your head or you're rubbing your tummy or ideally both.
Well, not ideally both, TK. If you're involved if you're in the pattern and rubbing game, you're patting and rubbing.
Yes.
There were a couple of messages here on the Spotify of the last episode. I think maybe just the one, possibly from Luke Chalmont, Walton School.
I was going to get to some of the comments on the Sandshoe TikTok, Jack, but there's now over 400 comments on that of people across Australia arguing with each other about what they call those shoes. And guess what? The top comment got deleted because she said she was getting abused in the comments. And I was just like, what have we created here?
What have we
What has
become?
happened?
What have we become as a society when we cannot engage in a calm and orderly discourse about the nomenclature of sports shoes in this country, TK? What have we become?
We've become a culture of I'm just not going to say it. You go.
Luke Chaumont, as an avid listen to this bit of a song guy, I find myself between a rock and a hard place here, as I attempt to make sure I give ample warning of something to particularly listen out for, due to the fact that 99% of the time, if I don't give a heads up, the response is usually drifted over, and I feel like my point hasn't come across as to why I've shown the person this song in the first place. But I agree, let me listen, cunt.
Yeah, it's a tough one, because it's like, as we said, with music and with movies, it's like, especially if you know the person isn't actually paying attention, you're like, I need to emphasize to you why this is so good, so you're paying attention to the bit. But then again, it's counterintuitive, because you're not actually enjoying it if you're watching out for it. You know, you kind of have to let it wash over you. But we went over all of this on the last pod.
We did, but I'm always happy to take a comment from one Luke Chaumont, Walton School. I did have a message here from a listener who wants to remain anonymous, TK, and it was in reference to our conversation around the marrying of one's cousin. This person said, I actually have a mate who's seeing his cousin's cousin, and a few of us are firmly against it. If you mention that on the pod, please don't mention my name. Well, what are your thoughts on that?
Can I give you another one? The other night...
are you not going to respond to that first?
Well, I'll give you this. A mate who I obviously won't mention his name because it's a family matter, but he told me that his uncle married his first cousin.
As you do.
And when it happened back in the day, we're talking like in the 80s, both families, obviously the parents of both people who were siblings, obviously, were very, very, very against it, and were like, you can't do this, what are you doing? And I was informed, apparently, they tried it, like they fell in love, apparently. They tried to stop, but they couldn't stop.
They tried it, like they were sampling an ice cream flavour at Messina.
They couldn't stop, they were in love, they ended up getting married, they've got 4 kids now, and over time, the family has accepted them back in, and it's just normal now, and no one talks about it anymore. But for a long period of time, they were ostracised, and it was very like, no, you can't do this is bad.
I think it's hairy areas, and I don't know how I would feel if my uncle, or indeed a member of my immediate family, were to marry their cousin.
Well, no, it's like, imagine if you and I had a son and daughter, and they, or son and son, or daughter and daughter, and they
not a son and son together.
No. If my child and your child got married, that's what's happening.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
sorry, I wasn't quite following.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. No, it's
and the parents were like, you can't do this.
Again, I know we're traipsing over old ground. I just feel like we've done it, but I want to just make this final point one more time. There are so many people in the world, and you may feel like there's no one out there for you. But I promise you there is, listener, and that person is not related to you. There is just no meaningful reason why they should have to be related to you, given that attraction and connection are things that are sort of formed over time and with a little bit of work, as opposed to being these completely arbitrary, organic things that they're made out to be in Hollywood films. Given that we know that from all the relationship science that is out there knocking about, there is no reason why you should be so drawn to a blood relative, other than for the fact that you've probably spent a lot of time with them. You maybe like them, which is lovely, but for that reason you've sort of convinced yourself that means there's something special about that person and you. That there is nothing other than the fact that you maybe share Christmas together.
Yep.
Don't have sex with your cousin.
Yeah.
Definitely don't marry them.
If you can avoid it.
No, you can't avoid it. As I just said, there is no reason, no possible conceivable reason why you would not be able to avoid that situation.
Oh, wow. Agreed. Now, Italy, Jack, they lost their first game of the World Cup to Scotland. However, Ben Menenti top score with a 50.
Shout out, Benny boy.
Harry got 37, I believe. Harry had to stand in as captain because their captain went down, unfortunately, with a shoulder injury.
I saw him barking orders. He looked very much like a certain 1930s German chancellor, the way he was moving his hands in that circle. And
he did, and commanding the troops.
Commanding the troops.
Now, I think we can both agree that Italy were robbed.
Of course, in the game that they lost fairly and squarely, they were completely robbed.
Well, I mean, Scottish dogs, as we've spoken about before.
What the fuck are the Scots even doing there? I thought they were professional lugers or whatever, or fucking curlers.
Now, they've got tomorrow night at 8 p.m, they've got Nepal, Jack. So
Nepal actually a cricketing nation, given that they do share close quarters with some of the more prominent cricketing nations.
And they make a good momo, mate.
They make a cracking momo.
Nepal food, Nepalese food, underrated. Momo, it's kind of like, if you haven't had it before, it's like a dumpling, but it's kind of got a curry flavour on the inside.
We are sort of, and I don't mean to roll over your glazing of the momo. We are pounding through a couple topics here as we cross the hour mark. But I just wanted to, a couple catch-ups. Happy birthday to...
You've just dismissed my Momo call.
There's nothing to be said about a Nepalese dumpling. They're good. They're fine. They taste exactly what you think they're going to taste like.
It's fine.
Happy birthday to friends of the show, Amanda and Alex, who had their birthdays on a joint 30th birthday on Saturday night.
Do I know Amanda and Alex?
Lever, Alex Lever.
Oh, Lever, yeah.
And...
yeah. Shout out to their expensive dog.
Yes, they do have two expensive dogs. One of them I molested once while drunk.
I won't go into that.
No, listen. There were other people present, as in they weren't involved. But
shout out Mitchell Pearce.
Yes, and shout out to the person who took the photo of Mitchell Pearce, who will 100% remain unnamed, but is a friend of the show.
It's been a while now, isn't it?
Mate, not long enough. Trust me. I got pod chatting with quite a few people who are either peripheral listeners or fans of the clips, TK, and more so just friends of mine at the night. I want to shout out
friends.
Will Blake, dear friend of mine and of the show, who is a fan. He wanted an update, TK, on the window wars. I don't know if you wanted to provide one. I know for you and I it feels a bit played out.
Well, what happened was, and I've had a lot of people ask me this actually.
So why don't you provide an update?
Pretty much every time I'm at a social event over the last few weeks, people have asked me, and I basically there is no update.
Go to a few social events, do you?
I go to a few social events, mate. This time I wasn't wearing my grey nicks.
Got a few mates, do you? Got
a few friends, mate. A few friends, a few associates. I keep busy. But no, a few people have asked me about the window, and here's the thing, listeners. There is no update because once it got, as Jack said, as we both said in that Window Wars episode, our firm number one priority was getting the fucking window fixed. That's all. We didn't care about retribution. We cared more about the window, like my room being inhabitable, right? And once it was fixed, we were so emotionally drained and exhausted that we were both kind of like, who gives a fuck? Like, it's fixed now. Yes, it's a fucking shame that that's how the world works and that they get to operate like that because they know that we're going to be like that.
And the update is that the window is back on. If we didn't mention that on the pod.
Sorry, I put a lot of this on my close friend story, but
Blakey,
no one saw it. We basically forced them into getting it done fucking pronto, and so they did. They sent around we didn't give this main update.
You give the main update.
They sent around two young fellas, probably about my age, to fix the window. They didn't just bring in a new window. They patched together the old window that had been lying out that had shattered and out on the ground and was rotten. They patched that together and brought it back and put it in. Now, the reason these two lads managed to get it back in, it's functional, whatever. I said to these two guys, sorry, boy, they got it in. They were like, sorry, boys, yeah, the real estate agent's fucking useless. And they went, yeah, we know. We quoted her when Ralph first came in and installed the board. He quoted her the amount that it would cost to install the window, and she never responded. That's why there was a week where nothing happened, because she never responded to their quote. So they were just like, well, we're not going to install it unless... And I'm like, well, that's not your fault, obviously. No. That's completely her fault. And then you bring it back to the fact that she had the gall to say... What I don't appreciate is you putting pressure on me as if I'm not doing my job, when literally the entire reason it didn't get fixed in a timely fashion was because she wasn't doing her job. So, yeah, look, even though it was enraging. There's nothing that we just decided to just fucking.
To this point in time, there was suggestions. There were. Insinuations, TK, that I would send one of those incineration emails, demanding retribution, claiming all sorts of legal comeuppance. And what happened, listeners, if I can be completely honest, is that by the time the window was fixed, we both kind of felt so out of puff from the whole thing that we were like, you know what, let's for now anyway, there may be an update down the track if they try to fuck us on something else. We were like, let's just fucking move on. So I'm sorry to be anticlimactic, but nothing really more has come of it other than the fact that the window has been fixed in what is a shoddy way, but it is still up to this point.
Yeah, it is. And it was nice to sleep in a room that wasn't infested with, rain and wind and mosquitoes. So
there were a couple of bits that were asked of me at the digs. Other than that, on Thursday, TK, and I've got them listed there, pertaining to some other things we've spoken about in the past. I'm actually not going to dive into them. I see that we've clicked over the hour. My energy's starting to wane. I've got a couple more things to do this afternoon, so I'm going to save them for our next step. Unless there's anything particularly prescient that you wanted to talk about right now.
I was going to talk about Lollipop's Playland, but I don't know if there's much we can actually touch on there, really.
See, I wouldn't have even brought that up because I think there is stuff there, but I don't think my energy an hour into the pod is there to do what we could do with that topic. So let's put it in the back pocket.
We'll dive into it
next week. The hour, 10-minute pod is absolutely long enough, particularly when you look at some of the other pods that cut around with hour 20 run times and 25 minutes of ads throughout. So thank you, everyone, for listening. I don't know if there's a hell of a lot else, TK, to be said, other than you want to do the usual spruiking, plugging, etc.
Well, yeah, no, tell your friends. Tell your friends to listen.
And send us in some fucking voice messages. Listen, the clips are
send
popping
us in
off.
voice messages that we can play on the pod.
Yeah, send us in your questions. Send us in your comments. Because the clips are popping off on social, relatively speaking. We're not exactly Mr. Beast. But if it's good enough, you might get a little feature.
All right. Well,
thanks for listening. You enjoy this hot Wednesday takes.
I will. It's that humid time of year. It's pretty fucking gross, but we push on.
We do. We push on into the good night, and I push on some sort of bed-like apparatus on my gut because I am and always will be a skeletoner.
I am now going to make like a banana and split. He got it.